Hi guys, welcome to today's tutorial on Unix shell scripting. So in today's tutorial, I'm planning to cover almost all of the aspects of Unix shell scripting. So if you are a complete beginner, you can have this, you can go through this course, and I believe you should be able to perform almost all the Unix operations using shell scripts. And if you're coming from another programming language background, it will be further easier for you to grasp, because most of these elements are common across programming languages, right? So briefly, I will cover the agenda of the tutorial before I delve into the different topics. So in the very first topic, I will cover what is Unix shell scripting, how to create a basic shell file, and how do you provide permissions, and write the first line of any Unix shell script. In the second topic, I will cover the if-else statements, right? So basically, if-else is for logic-based statements, like if something happens, we want to perform this. If something else happens, we want to perform this. So what is the structure of that in Unix shell scripting? After that, we'll cover case statements, which is similar to if-else blocks, where we expect certain scenarios to occur in while the script is running, and we handle them accordingly. And in the fourth topic, we'll cover shell binary operations, which are some numerical logical operations that we can perform. What are the commands for those? After that, we'll delve into loops, right? So we'll go into for loop, and we'll automate repetitive tasks how using for loops. So we'll go through iterators in this topic. And finally, we'll go through shell scripting functions and parameters, how you can write your own user-defined functions, how to pass parameters, how to pass positional parameters correctly. So all of those topics I'm going to cover. So I hope the agenda is clear, and let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to today's tutorial on Bash shell scripting. So what is a shell script? A shell script is a Unix counterpart for Windows batch script. For those of you who are familiar with a Windows batch script, it is a set of commands, Windows commands that we give in command prompt, written sequentially in a form of a program which can be executed whenever required, right? So why do we need a shell script? Why do we need a batch script? The reason is you want to perform a set of operations on a frequent basis, and you don't want to give commands to the Unix every time, right? So you need to create some sort of program, like a Java program, C# program, Python program, and you want to store those lines of code somewhere that needs to be executed very frequently, right? So right now I'm inside the terminal of a Unix machine, and I am gonna let's say give a command ls, and it will say it has all these folders available in this directory. And if I do cd desktop, it's gonna take me inside desktop. And if I create some folder like mkdir and say scripts, right, and then it's going to create that folder called scripts, right? And then these are the commands we are executing sequentially. But what if we want to do these things on a daily basis and a little bit more complex logic as well? We want to write like if statements, for loops. And for those kind of things, we need to use shell scripts, right? So we will start by providing the script. I'll show you the basic syntax of how to write a script, right? So let's go inside the scripts folder that we just created, and then we will create a file using touch command, which is called my script.sh, right? And then we will close this terminal a bit because we want to edit this, right? And then from here, the very first command that you have to give is slash and then exclamation mark, and then we'll go back to the terminal and say which bash. So it will give you the location of where the bash is, right? Now I'll just go here and paste it. Okay, so that's the very first command. And then let's just write something very basic, right? Like echo uh, hello world, right? And then save it. And then we will provide execute permission. We'll basically provide all permission to my script dot sh, and then we'll execute it by typing dot slash my script dot sh, right? So it says hello world because we wrote echo hello world. Now that was a very simple. Now the second part is how do we take input, right? Let's take an input from the user and say hello user with their name, right? So for that we have the read command. So we'll say read hyphen p, and then we'll say what is your name, and then we will say name. We'll store this in a variable called name. Okay, so what I will do here is I will write dollar and then name. Okay, and then save it. Let's see what happens. Again, we'll execute this. So it is saying what is your name. I'll say my name is Angan, so it will say hello Angan, right? So that is how you take inputs from the user. Okay, so it was pretty basic. So now let's look at the if statement, right? So the syntax for if statement is basically you have to define if square braces space, and you will, let's say I want to check if my name is Angan or not, so I will say the variable name equal to, and then I will say Angan, then space, and then square braces, and then say then and enter space and say echo and your name is Angan, and else I want to echo your name is not Angan, right? So once you have run your if done with your if statement, you need to close it with fi. Okay, now we'll save the script and see what happens if we run this, right? So I will say Angan. So it says your name is Angan. So let's run it again, and this time let's say I'm saying Gordon, right? So this time it says your name is not Angan. So that's how the basic if block is. So the next type of iteration that we are going to talk about is the case statements. So case statements in any programming language is basically when you expect certain scenarios in a while script execution, and you want to do some special kind of uh, handling for that kind of code, for that kind of scenario, you specifically use the case statements. So let's delve into the syntax of case statements. Before that, let's read a parameter from the user to take their age as an input. So I'll do read hyphen p, enter your age, and then put it in variable age, right? And then we'll write case. We'll create three categories of the scenarios, right? So the first category is basically when the person's age is a one-digit number, right? So in that case, what we will do is we will do echo and I will say you are a child, right? And then we will end the statement. And then there's another case when that person is giving a two-digit age, right? So we will do 0 to 9, 0 to 9, and then here we will do echo you are over 9 years of age, right? Let's close this and then close this statement as well. And finally, what we'll do is we will put anything that does not fall under any of the above scenarios. We want to define a default scenario. In this case, we will echo in this case we will echo invalid age, right? And then basically we'll close this, and then at the end we will write ESAC, which is case in reverse. Okay, so let's try this out. If I do 3, it says you are a child. If I give 18, it says you are 9 years of age. And if I give like 987, it's say invalid age, right? So let me explain the syntax in a little more detail. So in the first line you say your case age in, so in 0 to 9, after you specify the scenario, you have to have a closing brackets, and then after you do whatever you want to do in that scenario, and once you have done that, put a semicolons, 2 semicolons at the end, right? And for default scenarios, it's always asterisk followed by bracket. You define the scenario, default scenario, and at the end you add the 2 semicolons and end the case block with ESAC. So that's how the case statement goes. And so now let's look at some logical operators, binary operators as we call them in Unix, right? So let's say we take a number as an input from a user, right? What? Okay. Enter a number, and we will say store it in num1, right? And then again say we'll read and enter another number, and we call it num2, right? And then we'll say if $num1 is greater than equal to stands for GE. If you want to do less than equal to, that's LE. If you want to do equals to, that's equal. And if you want to do greater than, it's GT. If you want to do less than, it's less, right? So we will do num1 LT $num2 and close the braces. Then echo num first number is less than second number, else echo first number is greater than second number, right? So, and then close this, right? Let's see how this works. So now basically what we'll do is we will execute this, enter a number as a 3, and then enter 7. So it says that 1 second, sorry, in the script I forgot to add a hyphen. So now if we run this, it'll say enter number 5, enter number 9. Okay, first number is less than second number. Now again, if first number is 9, second number is 2, then the first number is greater than the second number. So it works perfectly, right? So these are the few binary operators that you can use to mathematical and logical operations, right? So coming on to the next section. Now let's look at the for command, right? The for is a kind of loop. We have 3 kinds of loops in Unix shell scripting. One is for, one is while, and one is case statements, right? So basically we'll start with the for, because that's in my opinion the simplest form of of iterating through objects. So let's start with the syntax of for. So for writing the syntax for the for loop, you have to write the keyword for, and then say item in, and then provide a list, right? Let's say 1 space 2 space 3 space 4 space 5, and then I will say do, and then I will do echo item, and then I will end the loop saying done, right? Let's see. Let's save this and let's try to run script. So okay, I'm not printing the item. here. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Similarly, we can have a list of strings here. So we'll say John, Ruben, David. Right. So a list, right? So then again, if we display it, so it will basically print each of the lines separately. So that's how for loop is defined. So the next type of iteration that we are going to talk about is the case statements. So case statements in any programming language is basically when you expect certain scenarios in a while script execution, and you want to do some special kind of uh, handling for that kind of code, for that kind of scenario, you specifically use the case statements. So let's delve into the syntax of case statements. Before that, let's read a parameter from the user to take their age as an input. So I'll do read -b, enter your age, and then put it in variable age, right? And then we'll write case. We'll create 3 categories of the scenarios, right? So the first category is basically when the person's age is a 1-digit number, right? So in that case, what we will do is we will do echo, and I will say you are a child, right? And then we will end the statement. And then there's another case when that person is giving a 2-digit age, right? So we will do 0 to 9, 0 to 9, and then here we will do echo, you are over 9 years of age, right? Let's close this, and then close this statement as well. And finally, what we'll do is we will put anything that does not fall under any of the above scenarios. We want to define a default scenario. In this case, we will echo invalid age, right? And then basically we'll close this, and then at the end we will write ESAC, which is case in reverse. Okay, so let's try this out. If I give 3, it says you are a child. If I give 18, it says you are 9 years of age. And if I give like 987, it's an invalid age, right? So let me explain the syntax in a little more detail. So in the first line, you say your case age in. So in 0 to 9, after you specify the scenario, you have to have a closing brackets, and then after you do whatever you want to do in that scenario, and once you have done that, put a semicolons, 2 semicolons at the end, right? And for default scenarios, it's always asterisk followed by bracket. You define the scenario, default scenario, and at the end you add the 2 semicolons and end the case block with ESAC. So that's how the case statement goes. Now we'll discuss a different topic of Unix shell scripting, which is writing functions and passing variable to the functions, right? Which is slightly different in Unix than in other programming languages. So we will create a function called with the function keyword. You have to define the function keyword first, function, and then you have to say display name and age, right? And then we'll close this, open these parentheses, and then say echo my name is positional argument 1 and my age is positional argument 2. So while passing the arguments, you have to be sure that you're passing the correct argument at the correct position. So now let's try to call this function, right? So I'll copy this name and I will basically pass the first parameter, which should be my name, right? So I will say and my second parameter is my age, so I will say maybe 28, right? Then hit enter and then save it. And then when I try to run this, so it will say my name is Rangan and my age is 28. So that is how positional arguments work and functions work. So we have come to the end of Unix shell scripting course, and we have gone through all of these topics that are mentioned earlier in the beginning of the video, and I hope you got a good grasp over what Unix shell scripting can do and and how you can utilize the full power of Unix shell scripting. So if you have any questions on any of the topics that's discussed in the video or not even discussed in the video, you can put it in the comment section and I'll try to answer it. And thanks a lot for watching this video, and if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, I suggest you do so, because there will be more tutorials not just on Unix but on myriad different topics, right? So thanks again for watching.